When it comes to Fantastic Four, the media is already setting the stage for another fake win, and this time is for the Fantastic Four. They did it for Fantastic Four before a single seat was sold. They're flooding headlines with claims about record breaking demand and early pre sales and app crashes, all tied to Fantastic Four. But after what happened with Thunderbolts and Brave New World, let's be honest, no one should trust a word of this Fantastic Four hype without seeing the real numbers. Now, Disney pushed both earlier 2025 films with everything they had: big press events, marketing blitzes, online influencers paid to play along, and the result, financial disappointment. Now they've moved on to Fantastic Four, hoping this one resets the narrative. But they're making the same early mistakes, starting with pre sales opening more than 50 days in advance. And that's a long gap. Not standard practice right there, but it looks like a move designed to artificially inflate the buzz. Okay. I'll talk about this later now, going into more detail, but compare that to Superman, which releases first and still doesn't have pre sales open. There's a difference in confidence. Now, Warner Brothers seems willing to let the movie speak for itself, but Disney, on the other hand, is pushing early ticket access and revealing plot points like Reed and Sue's baby. I mean, that's not a normal strategy. That's just pressure to generate interest where it hasn't developed naturally. Okay. Now, the push for Fantastic Four is clearly a response to how poorly the last two Marvel films performed. The same online media crowd that hyped Thunderbolts for weeks turned silent on the minute those numbers came in. Before release, they said the movie was poised to open big, and after release, they ignored it. Now, the same pattern is starting again now. Pre-sale headlines forced optimism, selective comparisons. Okay. Now, one of the biggest headlines so far is about Fandango's early ticket sales. Okay. Apparently, Fantastic Four had the highest 24-hour pre-sale total of any 2025 release. On paper, that sounds decent, but when you realize that's what it's competing against, films like Brave New World and even Snow White, that title doesn't hold much weight. Now, they're just benchmarks of failure, not hits. Just beating them isn't a major achievement at all. Now, family films like Minecraft or Lilo and Stitch operate differently. They rely more on wake up traffic and family decisions made closer to the weekend. Pre sale numbers for those types of movies don't follow the same patterns as superhero films. So comparing them to Fantastic Four doesn't really tell you much. You see, it's a misleading metric used to create a headline. All right. And then came, the different tech stories. AMC and Fandango were supposedly crashing from demand, but the facts didn't line up. You see, a few isolated user complaints turned into exaggerated reports. Now, the actual downtime was limited to a dozen reports over an hour. Meanwhile, plenty of users were accessing the sites without issue. And it's another example of how Marvel's promotional tactics are actually starting to lean more on spin than substance. All right. But a better comparison would be, simply put, Deadpool and Wolverine, which had a massive domestic opening and didn't create fake traffic crash stories. Now, that film generated real demand. It didn't need inflated narratives. If Fantastic Four is really in demand, that should show through consistent interest, not PR gimmicks. And so far, the approach is more noise than proof. All right. And that's not surprising right there. But we finally got some early tracking for Fantastic Four, the first steps. Current estimates are placing it somewhere between 125 million and 136 million domestic for opening weekend. I mean, that's stronger than what Brave New World pulled in, but that film ended its run at $413 million total. If Fantastic Four follows a similar path but starts higher, we might be looking at a final box office total around 650 to $700 million. That's assuming a reasonable hold and no steep drop after week one. But even if it lands in that range, that doesn't guarantee success. Now, with a budget probably over $200 million and a typical summer marketing push around $150 million, Disney's break even point is likely close to $700 million. That's a tight margin for something that's supposed to restart the MCU. And this isn't just, another standalone film. You see, Fantastic Four is meant to set up future MCU events, tie into Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and lay the groundwork for the next chapter of Marvel's universe. Now, if it only performs slightly better than Marvel's last two flops, that won't deliver the momentum that they're counting on. Okay, so the studio needs a real win, not just something that avoids embarrassment. Okay, now Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 had a modest start, but held well due to strong word of mouth. And that kind of run would help here too. But if Fantastic Four plays like Thunderbolts or Brave New World with a steep second week drop, well, those early numbers won't even matter. The movie needs to hold, or it's just another short-lived spike followed by a drop. All right. Now we still don't have an official production budget, but it's not a stretch to guess. Fantastic Four crossed the $200 million mark. Add global marketing, and you're in for over $350 million. If the film brings in $650 to $700 million worldwide, Disney might barely recoup costs. That wouldn't give them much momentum, especially, when they need to prove the MCU isn't in a long-term slump. Also, one thing to remember, these are based on several different reports out there. I'm simply the messenger delivering these things to you all in a manner where everybody can comprehend it. So don't go out shooting the messenger in the comments and stuff. Basically, this a lot of you should already know this is news by now, but then there's like a number of people who show up in the comment section trolling and everything, calling me a hater, Uncle Tom talking about this and stuff. But just remember, stick with the facts. I'm just a messenger. All right. Now, if this movie actually performs like the average Marvel film from the past 3 years, well, there's not going to be a turnaround. You see, at that point, it's just another confirmation that the brand isn't connecting like it used to. The excuses about audience fatigue or post-COVID box office shifts don't hold up when other studios are pulling better numbers with less effort, okay, and even less costs. Now, Fantastic Four is being framed as the beginning of a new era, but we've heard that before. That was the pitch for Eternals, for Ant-Man 3, for Doctor Strange 2, and each time it came with promises that didn't hold up. And the repetition isn't inspiring any confidence anymore. It's showing how disconnected the studio has become from the audience expectations, okay? And we've seen that time to time. Now, if reviews hit and we see the same headlines calling this the best Marvel movie in years, then the cycle will be fully back in motion. The difference now is that more people are tuning it out. Early numbers and fan reaction will matter far more than media spin. Now, if the content doesn't land, the hype collapses. Fantastic Four will either rebuild trust or confirm more of the same, okay? Now, opening day numbers didn't top Thor, Love and Thunder, and that should be a major red flag. And if Marvel's best bet in 2025 can't even beat that mid-tier entry in early sales, the strategy needs a reevaluation. People aren't responding to forced excitement anymore. They want something that actually delivers, okay? And that's no surprise right there because that's actually saying a lot. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoy what we're sharing in this video. Subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell for future notifications and uploads. And I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.